All right, guys, so we got to talk about probably one of the more fascinating meltdowns that we have seen when it comes to this conversation about trans women versus biological women in sports and whether or not trans women should be allowed to compete against biological women in sports. Now, this story right here involves a transgender woman who quit the team that they were playing on and is now threatening to sue for discrimination because rivals, aka biological women, refused to compete against the transgender player after the transgender player broke the knee of a female player while blocking her shot, which has left the biological women justifiably terrified. Okay, they're terrified to compete against the transgender woman because they witnessed the transgender woman break the knee of one of their, colleagues or one of their, teammates. And now the transgender woman is upset. Okay, so upset that they quit and now they're threatening to sue for discrimination. So let's read about this because, again, this is one of the more fascinating stories here with an interesting kind of twist. A transgender woman footballer whose physical power on the pitch left opponents terrified is considering taking legal action for discrimination after opposing teams refuse to play against them. The boycott is said to have followed a player suffering a broken knee when blocking a shot from the trans player Francesca Needham, who's 30 years old. So a biological woman literally got her knee broken by trying to block the shot of a transgender player who happens to be biologically male. Now, again, this is a prime example of why we say that you need to separate sex in sports, especially when you're talking about contact sports, which soccer, football is a contact sport. Things like this are more likely to happen. That's not to say that women don't get hurt playing against other women or that this woman that got her knee broken would not have got her knee broken, in another circumstance. It's just a lot less likely, right? And it is more likely when they are playing biological males that they're going to get injured like this. Okay, we've seen this time and time again, and a lot of these injuries have been catastrophic, right? I would consider a broken knee to be catastrophic. Okay, that's not something that anybody wants to experience. When word spread about the incident, some players refused to play against Needham for, quote, safety reasons, and 2 matches in the Sheffield and Hampshire Women's League were called off. Now, again, this takes place in the UK. Just in case you guys, weren't aware, this is out in the UK. Now, Needham has announced she is to step down from playing football for the foreseeable future for the sake of their club, Rosenton Maine Ladies, which is based in a former pit village near Doncaster, South Yorkshire. But far from backing down, the player is threatening to sue as they said that they have abided by all Football Association policies on transgender players. Wait, so hold on. So this person voluntarily quits, right? They weren't forced, okay? They voluntarily quit because other female players refuse to play against them because it is unfair. They don't want to get hurt. And now this person is threatening to sue for discrimination when it's like, you're not being discriminated against. You can play soccer. You just need to play against the same biological sex. Or you can play against other transgender people. But clearly, this person has a ton of muscle mass, right? They have a clear bone density and muscle mass advantage over the biological women, okay? I mean, that is extremely apparent, right? I mean, if I'm a biological female and I walk on a soccer field, a football field, and I see that this is who I'm playing, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be terrified too. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I mean, look, here's the thing. When I played football in high school, okay, I mean, this happens, right? Like, there's always that one kid on the team, right, on the other team that's just a monster compared to everybody else, right? You see this dude, and you're like, this dude is huge, right? And as a smaller player, clearly you're going to have some fear, right? You're going to feel a little something in the pit of your stomach when you line up against this person because they clearly are just genetically superior in certain ways, right? Now, again, when it comes to, a biological woman versus, a biological male, I can definitely understand how women can walk on a football field and see who they're playing against, see the clear differences in muscle mass, muscle size, bone density, just structure in general, and say, you know what, I'm going to sit this out, right? Because I don't want to put myself in a situation where you have to block this person's shot or defend this person, and then your leg and their leg get tangled up, right? Like you try to defend them or whatever, and you end up hitting them in the leg, and your leg snaps in half because, again, the other player has tree trunks for legs, right? I'm just saying, that's what happens, right? That is what happened, right? I mean, you had a female player that ended up breaking their knee trying to defend against this person. Now, again, that's not to say this person, shouldn't be able to compete amongst themselves, other trans people or biological men. That's what they should be doing, because the differences in muscle mass, bone structure, body it's too much for women to overcome. And I don't understand, why is this so hard of a concept for people to understand? This is not that hard. It's basic biology. I don't care if they're on hormones or not. This size advantage is not going away, regardless of whether or not you're on hormones. It's not going away. It's going to be there, and that's something that women have to deal with. And it's one of those things where it's just not fair, right? It's not fair. So this person commenting on their club's Facebook site said that they were facing challenges from teams unwilling to play against their team while this person was on the field. Okay, quote, "This unfortunate circumstance has prompted me to investigate pursuing a case of discrimination, as I believe it represents a breach of a code of conduct regarding diversity and inclusion, as well as safeguarding of adults in football established by both the Football Association and the Sheffield and Hampshire Women and Girls League." This person said that they're standing down because it's in the best interest of the club and the teammates, stating, quote, "It's disheartening to acknowledge that this situation contradicts everything in the diversity and inclusion policies, given that I have diligently met every single requirement set out by the Football Association to play." And they added, quote, "I sincerely hope this issue is perceived discrimination against me can be resolved peacefully and promptly." Needham had received full backing from the club, with the ladies team secretary posting a message, "In unity, we defeat discrimination." The trans player has only played 2 matches this season, both in October, after apparently given clearance by the FA. Yeah, so 2 matches. In 2 matches, a biological woman's knee was broken playing against this person. Now, again, how many knees have to be broken before somebody says, you know what, maybe this diversity, equity, and inclusion isn't safe, right? Maybe this isn't fair. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe we should, I don't know, start up a trans league, right? And let the trans players play with other trans players. Therefore, it's fair. But they don't want to do that. And I really don't understand why, right? Because that is the simple solution. It is the fair solution. It is the common sense solution. It is the easiest solution, but that's not what they want, right? Because apparently it's discrimination if you don't want to put biological women at risk of getting injured, because we don't want to have biological males competing against biological females because of the biological differences, right? The advantages that biological males have. That, again, does not disappear just because you hop on hormones. So, again, this is this person, right, living their life, which, hey, at the end of the day, they can do what they want to do, live their life. But at the same time, we got to understand that in some circumstances, some cases, you're not going to just be able to live your life and do whatever you want to do, right? Especially when you're talking about the safety of other people, okay? Quote, "It was obvious," the manager said. "Unfortunately, the FA allowed it to happen, but didn't let anyone know. She's quite a big, strong player. People have refused to play because they're worried about the safety of the players." Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. This person looks pretty strong. Even if they were playing against biological males, I would say that, yeah, they would stand out on the field, right? As somebody that clearly looks to be stronger and more athletic than the other guys, right? I'm just saying. I mean, that's not even a bad thing. That's a good thing. This is why I think that, hey, Play amongst other transgender people. Dominate them. Play amongst people of the same biological sex. Maybe you might be competitive there as well, too. I'm just saying. This person looks like they can be competitive playing against, the people of the same sex. Quote, my players were backing out of challenges as psychologically it's quite a big thing. When you are playing against a biological male, it's quite scary. They were terrified. Needham has scored 2 goals in the 2 games she has played, but last month, an opponent who has asked not to be identified suffered a serious knee injury when she was said to have blocked a shot from Needham. There was no foul play or intent to injure, said the player's manager. Launching a fundraiser site to help her, a teammate commented that she is facing serious consequences of an unfortunate gray area in women's football, which is going to be extremely detrimental to her work and personal life. Rossington, Maine President Gerard Parsons refused to comment on the controversy apart from stating that their opponents couldn't raise a team in recent weeks. Needham has been unavailable for comment. The manager of one of the teams to refuse to play explained the boycott. Quote, I have 16 and 17-year-old players playing for me and their parents weren't too keen to put their welfare at risk. He said it was a welfare issue from the club's perspective rather than a transgender issue. And yeah, it's not a transgender issue, right? And again, this is what they keep trying to make it out to be. They want to make it out to be some form of hate and bigotry for people to come out here and say, no. This is just not fair, right? This is the reality. You have to deal with the reality, and we have to make it fair for everybody and to reduce the chances of unnecessary injury that otherwise wouldn't happen if we did not have biological males and biological females competing against each other in sports. I don't understand why is this such a hard concept to grasp, okay? They always want to make it about hate and bigotry as a way to deflect from the real conversation, a real argument, which is that there's just too much of a difference. And in some cases, you just can't have this type of stuff happening, and women are going to boycott. That's what they've been doing. Okay, I've covered a ton of stories about this. Women are boycotting. They're saying, no, we're not going along with this. We don't want to put ourselves at risk. And at the end of the day, for the trans individual, I think that it's embarrassing when that happens. And to save themselves from the embarrassment, I think that personally, they should just choose to compete amongst other transgender individuals or to compete amongst, people of the same biological sex. That solves the problem. That way you don't have to worry about it. But again, the argument is made is that, no, they're having their rights taken away. They can't compete in sports. Just because they can't compete amongst the opposite sex is like, well, you can compete amongst the same sex or other transgender players and nobody cares, right? You can do whatever you want to do. Nobody's going to complain about it. But I think the real discrimination here is actually forcing women to play with biological males when they sign up to play against other women, especially when you're talking about contact sports, okay? That's the real discrimination, right? I just find it just ironic that this person is suing for discrimination after voluntarily dropping out, right? Again, just, at the end of the day, you got to understand where these women are coming from. You might not like it, but it's totally understandable. It really is. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.